Thank you, Peter, for what you called warming up, but that's not true. Because Peter unites all of us in his story about collaboration. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Johan, for organizing it. I very much appreciate this. And we discussed these topics when I was chairman of the chemical part in Davos of the World Economic Forum. Preaching for the converted, that is my biggest risk I have here, because you come here because you believe in this topic. I would like to take you a little bit deeper in this topic, and I don't know who of you are from business. Who of you are from business? Oh, gosh. You will regret that. So now we saw all your hands, and I have a question to you later on, and not only for the people from business, but especially for them. So, are you happy? Yes. Totally not understood by me. Let me take you only a few minutes, and Peter did it already. You heard the news this morning, I assume, although you were here, about 3,000 people being killed. You followed it this morning on the internet? Anybody followed it? Huh? I cannot hear you, but one followed it. The rest not. 3,000 mothers lost their children. There was 3,000 fathers and mothers who saw their own children, who they put on planet Earth, dying in their own arms. Nobody saw it on the internet. Nobody saw it. It was not in the news. It happened again this afternoon, and it happens again this evening. And Peter was talking about that every 6 seconds. And we talk about people die in traffic accidents and other things, and we make it big in the news. And 3,000 in the morning or whatever. Yeah, we know what's happening. Every time I think about it, every time I talk about it, I don't understand that this just happens out of a shortage of food, a shortage of micronutrients, and then we get over it and back to normal. It's happening all the time. 1 billion people every day not knowing whether they will survive the next week. Almost 1 billion people. Another 1 billion people being short of micronutrients. More than 3 million people die every year because of malnutrition being stunted. 165 million children who are stunted for the rest of their life. You know about Ricardo and Manuel? We discussed about that together with David Nabarro, who's not here, last year. Both are 12 years old. One is 90 centimeters high, the other is 1 meter 20. Manuel, 90 centimeters, is stunted for the rest of his life. How many micronutrients we will give, how many good food we will give, whatever we will do with Manuel, Manuel will never, ever have the life of Ricardo. Our food composition isn't right. A large part of the world's population doesn't get access to the right food, doesn't get access to the micronutrients they need. Whilst another 500 million to 1 billion people suffer from another problem, more in the richest countries of the world. Even in the richest country of the world, in the United States, more than 50 million people. They do not have the money to buy the right food, or sometimes the right food is not provided at all. It started with the great invention, corn fructose syrup. What a great invention. You know what it does? It's not only sweet, it provides texture as well. And it is cheap. Sweet, taste, texture, and cheap. What an ingredient for the food industry. I mean, it provides the basis of all you need. Some taste, some texture, and it is cheap. Let's put it in almost all foods you can imagine. And that's what happened. That's really what happened. And therefore, a lot of people became addicted to sugar, became addicted to carbohydrates, and are suffering from it. our food composition isn't right. A large part, also in the Western world, doesn't get the access to the right nutritious food and shows therefore all kinds of deficiencies. Those deficiencies are causing diseases. You know what the pharma industry nowadays is doing? 50% of all drugs we take are food and lifestyle related. When I started my career, I worked for a short time in the pharma part of our company. And I, as a young assistant, were doing all the calculations. 5 of the top 10 pharma products were antibiotics. In the top 20, there are no antibiotics anymore. And we saw your statistics. Maybe we will never get those antibiotics there anymore because we're running into problems. No, the top 20 pharmaceuticals consist of products treating hypertension, cholesterol, diabetes, and all that stuff. That is in the top 20. That is interesting statistics. So we live around here in the world for almost 100,000 years, and in 30 years we made ourselves that ill that we fund half of the global pharmaceutical market. Now that is really an accomplishment, what we did. And by the way, they treat us pretty well, because in the meantime, life expectancy went up. But is this the solution? To find the solution, end of pipe instead of beginning of pipe, and looking to our way we have composed our food. You answered that you were happy. Let's make it worse. Much more worse even. I don't know what your income is. Well, we can do a poll, but I don't know. But there is a high likelihood that you belong to the billion richest people in the world. Do you realize? The billion richest people of the world consume 40 to 45% of all resources, agriculture, non-agriculture, etc. And think they have the right, because that's what they also do, to produce roughly 40 to 45% of all waste in the world. If we would be with 2 billion people, that is an equal distribution. If we are with 7 billion, as we are today, or growing to 9, this is not only unfair, this is not only unequal, this is also unsustainable. It will not continue that a small part takes it all. With the upcoming middle class in India and China who want their part of the pie, and rightly so. So we need to adjust. I can say it more provocative in order to get the statistics in our mind. The 63 richest people in the world, most likely they were not in this room. Is there anybody of that group in this room? They own as much as the 3.5 billion poorest people in the world. Oops. We have an issue we need to address. And then, of course, climate change. I mean, I was astonished by the way we dealt with the recent report of the International Panel for Climate Change. In the beginning of the report, they say, do not misuse and do not misinterpret our statistics. Because the straight line up of temperature and climate change is not a straight line up, it goes like this. And we show you all the data and the figures, so you can misinterpret certain parts of history. That was a great invitation for some cynical people who started to misinterpret their report. But I think it's clear that 0.6 degrees increase of temperature is already in the pocket. Call it cynical. We are running into 2 degrees. And after that, most scientists say, if we really get it over 2 degrees, we don't know it also anymore. Because then there is a high chance on the permafrost, etc., and running to 6 degrees with infectious diseases, you know all that story. I recently was with a group of people running pension funds. And they said, do we have anything to do with that? I said, well, you have a lot of money. You determine where we invest in. You determine whether you believe in the carbon bubble, whether we should burn all the fossil resources we have in the world or not. One guy stood up and said, I'm not so sure about all those data about climate change, etc. Are you 100% sure? said, well, 100%. Even if you, I said to him, are not 100% sure, are you 100% sure that this is not happening? He said, no, no, no. I said, okay, do you dare to play roulette with the future of your children and their children? That's a risky game. We should get you off the table immediately. So, I don't know why you were happy in the beginning, most likely because Johan orchestrated and organized such a great conference. But there's a lot of reason not to be happy. Okay, if all those problems are there, Johan, please, put all the guilty people on the stage. Who caused all this? It's an irrelevant question. I don't mind who caused it. Who can solve it? Let's put the people on the stage who can solve it. It's irrelevant who caused it. And who can solve it? I know more than half of the room said you were from business. Business has to play an important role here as well. Business has the innovative power. Business has the strength to solve and to address a lot of those things. Oh, is business now guilty? No, business is not guilty. Sometimes maybe. But business is very much responsible to solve it. Business changed its mandate automatically without realizing over the last 50 to 100 years. Business has much more impact in the world than it had 50 or 100 years ago, when companies were small, not a global impact, etc. Today, with big multinational companies having so much impact, so much power, positive and negative on the world, they have automatically increased their responsibility as well. Because one is a dangerous combination. High impact, high risk, high impact, high power, and a low feeling of responsibility. There are terrible accidents in the world happened with that combination. So if business has more power, if business has more impact, it should show it's also more its responsibility. So business is not only a private enterprise anymore. Business gets public responsibilities. Oh, Feike, what are you doing now? Now you're totally complicating the model we always had. We had the private sector, the public sector, and we had supranational organizations like the UN. That was the world easy. Yeah, welcome in the new world. Not that easy anymore. Private companies have public responsibilities. Oh, you start to play for government now. No, I don't start to play for government now. I start to answer my own applications. If you have a lot of power and a lot of impact in the world, you should show your responsibility. And that means, per definition, that business can only be oriented on its stakeholders, not only on its shareholders. The business should serve more goals, and of course its customers, its own employees, but also society at large. And as we call it in our company, we have a triple bottom line. People, planet, profit. Everything is based on that. Our integrated reporting, our remuneration system, everything is based that we have 3 bottom lines. Yeah, but one bottom line, the profit, is the most important, and the other 2 you should do responsible. No, no, no. We have 3 bottom lines, equally important. No, 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 that cannot be, because you are owned by shareholders. Well, yeah, they put their money in your company. Well, I know other people who put their life in our company, our employees, or are totally dependent of the company. Society. So 3 bottom lines, equally responsible. Oh, that's a different way of looking to capitalism, a different way to look to business that maybe you learn at the MBAs or other schools. True. But if you have so much power and so much impact as business, this follows automatically out of that. And that means, if you listen to that, that you should change the way you run your company. Focused on those shareholders, not only focusing on your stakeholders and contributing to the issues society is dealing with. Is that possible? Of course that is possible. Take only we're a big company, small company, I don't know, $13 billion sales, is that big, small? There are much bigger companies. Our collaboration in the last 7, 8 years with the World Food Programme of the UN now takes care that we are helping with enriching their food of the poorest people in the world, 15 to 20 million people a year. I'm still astonished about how successful that collaboration was. I see Martin Bloom sitting here of the World Food Programme in the room. If a tiny little company as our company can have such a huge impact, then you better use that impact also, Mr. Sijbesma of DSM, to do that. And we did so. And the same count of other companies. But we recently did, and I see somewhere in the audience, Mark van Amering of GAIN and the World Food Programme. With GAIN and the World Food Programme, we enlarged the Sun movement, scaling up nutrition, with the Sun Business Network. What are we doing? We are collecting 99 companies, not more. And we are not yet there, we are halfway. So there is still room, please hurry up. It's filling up fast. 99 companies, and what we want to do is collect all your competences of that 99 companies, unite that, and use that for scaling up, speeding up, doing it faster on addressing all the issues around hunger, scaling up nutrition by using all the competences of the private sector. 99 companies we said we need. We are halfway. I expect, Martin, that after this session, and Mark, you get a lot of people running to you. I need to be a member as well, and true. If we look to the issues in the world we have, in China, urbanization is going so fast. India, same. Every day, a farmer moves to the city. We lose a food producer, and we gain a food consumer. And we move further into industrializing our food production. And we need to take care that those people can get access to the right food. We need to take care that their food is healthy. And that means also that in agriculture, we should not only look to yields and output, but also to the composition of food. Because as I said in the beginning, both in the developed world and in the Western world, composition of food is not the way we want to have it. We need to take out more fat, we need to take out more salt, we need to take out more corn fructose syrup. Because with unhealthy food, we cannot continue, and the cost of healthcare will only increase. We need to enrich food fortification, other programs in developed world. We need not only to provide carbohydrates or calories, we need to take care that people also in the developed world have access to the right composition of food. Especially because the first 1,000 days of every child is critical, like I showed you with Manuel and Ricardo, for the rest of his life. Are we moving in the right direction? Yes and no. Of course, we have conferences like that and we do things. But let's look deeper to agriculture. Not only to the output and to the yield. I said, look also to the composition. But we start after summer with a new project in the United States on biofuels. Oh, biofuels, are you involved in that one also? Oh, that changes my view on your company. No. Relax. Second generation biofuels. What do? We take the waste of crops, which is not being used. No, even stronger, which is being piled up till the pile is too big, and then we put it into fire. It creates CO2, because the farmer can use only 1/4 of its waste. It remains on the land as fertilizer, and 3/4 need to take off the land, because otherwise the land dies. And that is being piled up. We worked on the last 6 years of that waste stream. And we thought, can we not upgrade that waste stream? Very complicated technologically, but we can upgrade that into valuable materials and fuels, etc. Whilst doing so, we were looking to that waste stream, and we saw there's lignin in there, there are proteins in there, there's all kinds of components in there which we throw away. In agriculture, the carbohydrate content is by far the most important thing which we take. The proteins, we have learned to provide you with proteins via giving all that stuff to animals, and then let the animals make the proteins and then eat the animals. But a lot of agricultural proteins are being thrown away. It's a waste. And now we see that we can upgrade also other fractions out of that and provide a different food industry. And I found it astonishing and a shame of us that after 10,000 years of agriculture industry, not only at the end of pipe at your home where you throw away stuff, but in the whole chain, starting even at the beginning, we throw away a tremendous amount. While the oil and gas industry, in 150 years, have optimized every tiny little fraction of their operations. And we in the agriculture industry have let that happen over 10,000 years. The good news is there's a tremendous potential to improve our food in the Western world, in the developed countries, a tremendous potential in agriculture, a tremendous potential to change the composition of food, a tremendous potential in getting all those companies on board, of using your competences. If you change your mindset as business, why are you here on earth for? The economy never started with making money. Is that a business guy who was saying that? Yeah. We started with barter trade. You were good in this, and he was good in this. Let's exchange it, etc. And later on, the exchange became more complicated. We invented money, etc. Especially in the last 30 years, in my opinion, we derailed. And we made making profit and all the actions of the financial world. The financial world, by the way, is now bigger than the underlying real economy. I mean, that's not possible because we have no assets outside planet Earth. So how can the financial world be bigger next to that thing on Mars we have? But for the rest, there are no assets outside this planet. So we have derailed a little bit. And we need to get back to the basics of economics. Making profit is a means. Making profit was not the goal. The goal was to live well here with 7, later on 9 billion people. If we as business are not going to contribute to that, we're on the wrong track. Last sentence. You cannot be successful, nor even call yourself successful, in a world that fails. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have to change our mindset, and I'm totally with the previous speaker here, who's trying also to collect all those companies, Peter Bakker, my good friend, working for the same cause. And I do hope, together with Peter, that a lot of you join us in that journey and make this world a better place. Thank you.